South Carolina HOSA family, I want you to do one thing with me right now. And I want you to just imagine that we have just turned this entire space into an airport. Why? Because I heard that all of you in this room are champions of change, and you want to continue to do that and take it to even greater heights. And on that note, Jose and I only know one way to take you there. And that's to what we like to call the Power Up Airlines First Class Experience. Y'all can make some noise for that. That's good, yeah? Yeah. And so we're about to take you somewhere. But one thing I want you to know about Power Up Airlines that's very different than all the other airlines in our world is that Power Up Airline is known for taking leaders just like yourself to the next level. And we do things a little bit differently around here. One of the first things that we do differently is that most airlines, they only allow you to choose your seat, which is kind of cute. But at Power Up Airlines, though, we're going to actually allow you to choose your aircraft. And so I need you to choose between the numbers 1, 2, and 3. And when you have that number, put it up in the air for me so I can see. So everybody, show me your 1, your 2, and your 3. And when you have that number, wave it for me so I can see it loud and clear. All my people in the back. Yes, yes. Okay, look at your number. All right, put your hands down, hands down. It is now time for the big reveal. And so all of my number ones, if that was you, please stand up. Number ones, if that was you, please stand up. Everybody else, give me a drum roll. You can have a seat, have a seat. Congratulations, you got yourself a human kite for this experience. I hope you're not afraid of heights. Now, all of my number twos, if that was you, please stand up. All of my number twos. All right. Everybody else, you know what to do. Give me a drum roll, please. Yeah. All right. So you got yourself a hot air balloon, my number twos. I hope you enjoy the ride. But then last, but certainly not least, all of my number threes, if that was you, please stand up. Yeah. Everybody else, give me a drum roll, please. Drum roll. Okay. All right. At Power Up Airlines, as you can see, we do things a little bit differently. Now, I know all of you probably have one question in the back of your head. And that's, if we're all at the same place, at the same time, going to the same place, why do we have 3 different types of aircrafts? My friends, South Carolina HOSA family, the reason why we have 3 different types of aircrafts for you today is because we realize that in this room right now, there are 3 different types of HOSA student leaders who walked in. 3 different types. When I saw you all walking in, when I saw the energy, Jose and I were trying to figure out which type of student leaders you are. Now, the first type of student leader is the one that reminds me of somebody that's on a human kite. And what I mean by that is that when you reflect on your leadership journey, your leadership experience has been filled with a lot of hardships. Maybe you've had things going on at home that was outside of control that you still have to navigate through. Maybe there were things going on at school to where you tried your best and it's been very difficult for you to keep up or even for you to try your best every single day. Maybe you've experienced a breakup or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7. But most importantly, when you think about your leadership journey, even though you may be in a room full of people, there's been many times in your leadership journey where you felt alone. Maybe you're the only one in your friend group that's super passionate about the healthcare field, that's super passionate about HOSA, or maybe you're the first in your family that's going to go to college, that's going to graduate, that's going to get a great job and do great things in their life. And so because we know that real things happen outside of this room, if you're a leader and you've ever felt like that, the least we could do is snap it up for you because you're still here and you haven't given up. And Power Up Airlines is still going to take your experience to the next level. But then, my friends, we have my number twos. Woo! Let me tell you about my number twos. These are the student leaders that when you think about leadership, these students are kind of on the fence. Sometimes they have really great days and they show up and they try their best and they study hard, but other days they don't want to get out of bed. And they text all day, they're on TikTok all day, they don't turn in any assignments. Sometimes they hang out with the good crowd of friends, sometimes on the weekend they hang out with the bad kind of friends. These are the student leaders that when they think about leadership, some days they're over here and some days they're over there. But I want to let you know that if you've ever been a student leader in this room and you've been on the fence, understand that you showing up right now is one of the best leadership decisions that you ever made. And so on that note, the least we could do is snap it up for these people because they're still here. Come on. But then, my friends, we have our final ones. We have our final ones, my number threes. Now, when I think about the student leader who's in the number 3 category, this student leader, when you think about leadership, not only are they putting in the work in school, but they're also putting in the work outside of school. Not only are they super respectful to their friends, but they're also super respectful to their parents too. Not only are they going extra and above when everybody's watching, they're also putting in the best work when nobody's watching. And if you're a leader like that and you understand that I'm talking about you right now, number one, I'm super happy that you're here. And number two, this Power Up experience is still going to take you to the next level. So the least I can do is what? Snap it up for you because you're still here. But then, my friends, we have one more reveal for you. Because we have the name of the airline, which is called Power Up. You now have your aircraft. But we're missing one more thing. Who's going to fly the plane? Who's going to fly the plane in the audience? Who's going to fly the plane in the audience? Come on. All right, so South Carolina family, you know what to do. Give me one drum roll, please, as we reveal to you who your pilots are for this experience. Yeah, baby. And so Jose and I are your pilots, not your parents. We're your pilots for today. Now, the reason why Jose and I are here in front of you is because all of you in this room, you have big dreams, big goals, and you're looking at two best friends right now who are living their dream. And so Jose and I met about 8 years ago, and ever since we met, Jose and I, as best friends, made a commitment to walk and have a conversation every Saturday that comes around. And so for the past 8 years, Jose and I have walked every Saturday to talk about our life, to talk about our goals, to talk about our dreams. And in that morning walk, we realized that we have some of the same passions, some of the same goals, and some of the same things we wanted to do in life. So much so that at year 3 of our friendship, we decided that we want to make a difference in the world. And so Jose and I started speaking in local classrooms, helping students just like yourselves do great things and make it to college. And then those little classrooms with about 15, 20, 30 students then turned to us speaking in larger cafeterias and where we were able to inspire and help other people do the same and make it through no matter what they were going through in life. From those classrooms to those cafeterias, then we were able to speak in auditoriums, where, once again, we were reminding students of the passion and the purpose that they have and how much of a great thing they can do in life. And so the reason why we're your pilots, though, is because Jose and I fly a lot. And I want to let you know right now that that small dream that we had in those classrooms has now turned into us going to over 16 different states and inspiring students all across the nation to be great leaders just like yourselves. And so you're looking at two people who are living their dream right now, two best friends who had one purpose, who had one goal, and we're making that goal become a reality every single day. But if I showed you all the awards that we've won, if I showed you all the passion that we have, you still wouldn't get to the heart of why we are who we are and why we do what we do. Which is why I'm super excited for you to hear from our first pilot as he shares with you his reason, his purpose behind why he's a champion of change. So y'all make some noise for my brother Jose one time. Yeah.
When I think about my journey to becoming a champion of change and where it all began, it began right here. In this single wide trailer in a small town in North Florida, my dad was a single parent raising 3 kids on his own, living paycheck to paycheck, week after week, barely making ends meet. And I remember feeling so ashamed and embarrassed about where I lived and where I grew up that I would ask our bus driver to drop us off last so that the other kids wouldn't see where I lived. And throughout high school, I remember many hurricanes that happened. As those powerful winds would blow, our small fragile trailer would shake and our power would go out. And I would lay there in the dark thinking, tonight's the night that this trailer is going to fall apart. There's got to be something that I can do to change our situation at home. But somehow, year after year, storm after storm, that trailer stayed standing, and so did we. Just like that trailer had a strong foundation, my dad made sure we did as well. He would constantly remind us that even when life got shaky, you can still show up. You can still do your best. And I was like, you know what? My dad is right. But halfway through high school, my dad informs us that he can no longer afford the rent on his own, so another family will be moving in. Another family? Dad, what do you mean? We only have 2 rooms in the trailer. That meant that for the rest of high school, my family and I would have to squeeze into one room while my dad, brother, and I shared a bed. My sister would sleep on the floor. But every night, I would lay there dreaming big. One day, I'm gonna get us out of this trailer. One day, we'll never have to worry about putting food on our family's table or paying the bills. One day, I'm gonna retire my dad. I didn't know how or when those dreams would become a reality, but I knew that if I showed up every day and I did my best every day, one day, those dreams would become a reality. I'm sitting in my class, my junior year, and I get called to the front office. And I see my school counselor at the door with a big smile on her face and a white envelope in her hand. As I open this envelope, I begin to read this letter inside, and my heart begins to race. I'm excited, but then a little bit nervous. It was an acceptance letter to attend a leadership conference at one of the most prestigious universities in my home state of Florida. And I was the only one selected from my county to represent my entire school. But then I thought, leadership? I'm not a leader. Maybe they meant to give this to the other Jose. Oh wait, there was no other Jose in my class. A few weeks later, I'm packing my one small duffel bag, getting ready to drive an hour and a half south to the University of Florida, home of the Gators. The campus was huge, y'all. The buildings were tall. Go Gators. The buildings were tall. The sidewalks were so clean, I could smell the fresh cut grass in the air with the mix of humidity. And excited but nervous, I walk over to the check-in desk, and they handed me a set of keys. For the first time in my life, I walked into a dorm room, and I see 2 beds, one on each side. Standing there, I'm staring at that bed, because for the first time in years, I was gonna have my own bed. So I begin to make my bed, and I hear one of the staff members come in. He flips through his clipboard, and he says, "Actually, Jose, your roommate didn't show up." So are you telling me I get this whole room to myself? Not only do I get one bed, but I get two? He didn't understand my excitement, so I finished making my first bed, and I said, okay, tonight I'm sleeping in this bed, and then tomorrow night I'm sleeping in that bed. But then it hit me, but wait a minute, Jose, why don't you just combine both beds, and now you got a big bed? It was time to head down to the first session. I walked into this large room filled with students from all across the state, all doing big things at their high schools. And then there was me, sitting there, feeling out of place. But as everyone went around and began to introduce themselves, something shifted in me. Because everyone walked in with their own story, their own challenges, their own unique personalities. But we all had one thing in common. We all wanted to be champions of change. We all had big dreams. We all wanted to do things that had never been done before in our families, like be the first to graduate high school, the first to go to college, the first to get our dream jobs. Nobody's life was perfect in the room. And I realized that leadership was not about where I come from, but it's about what I do with what I have right now, where I am. I already had influence. I had 2 siblings back home who were watching everything I did, friends who came to me for advice, people at school who looked up to me even when I didn't realize it. I didn't have to wait until I felt ready to be a champion of change. I could do it right here, right now, from where I was. That conference didn't just teach me about leadership. It awakened the leader that was in me all along. But as this conference was coming to an end, it was bittersweet. Bitter because now I had to leave my bed and the incredible friends that I made and go back to reality, back to that trailer, back to sharing a bed. But it was sweet because I realized that I no longer had to be ashamed of and embarrassed about where I lived and where I grew up, because one day that's going to be a part of my story, one that I would use one day to travel all across the nation and inspire students to become great leaders and somehow end up in March of 2026 in Charleston, South Carolina, to remind South Carolina HOSA students that even when life gets tough, you can still power up. You can still be a champion of change. Fast forward a few years later, I am back at the University of Florida, my dream school, as a student. That same kid from that pink trailer, the one who used to share a bed with his dad and brother, is now on the biggest stage of his life as the graduation speaker. And there, to the top left, was my family, smiling so big and proud. And as I looked out into the crowd, all I could say was, whoa, we made it. The lights were bright, the mic echoed, and for a second, it felt like time just stopped. Because I wasn't just on that stage representing myself. I was on that stage representing every kid who ever came from a place that looked like it could fall apart, but it didn't. Every kid who dreamed of more, even when more seemed impossible. Every family who went through storms and stayed standing. And on that stage, in that moment, I realized something profound. All those nights in that trailer, all those storms, all those sacrifices were just a part of my story. South Carolina HOSA family, the future of healthcare is right here all over this room. And if I could go back and say anything to that Jose, it's what I want to leave with you tonight. Your story is not over yet. Your story is just getting started. And I'm so excited for you to hear from our next pilot, my best friend in the whole wide world, my brother, Asley Pollas.
Let's go! to be able to defy the odds just like that, to be able to go from where he came from to still be up here today with as much hope, much drive, much dedication, much passion, to not quit and not help others do the same, my friends, for my brother, that deserves another round of applause. Y'all make some noise. Woo! For my brother Jose, man, now, when I think about my journey to being a champion of change, there's so many moments that I can reflect on. Like the time that I graduated from the University of Florida as well with honors, with my bachelor's degree, and already had a job lined up, ready for me to inspire students across the city that I was living in. Or it might have been the time where I saw a girl in high school in the hallway, and I thought she was really cute. And so I went up to her after school ended, and I talked to her, and I got her number to see who she could be with me and if I could be with her. But fast forward, that same girl is now my wife. Come on, somebody. Dreams come true, people. That girl is now my wife, and my beautiful wife and I, we got married in college, but we've now been married for over 12 years, y'all. This year will make 12 years. And we have two beautiful daughters, one by the name of Gianna, the other one by the name of Camila. And surprise, we have another one on the way. So all my October babies, there's another birthday joining you in October. But there's so many moments in my life that for me, when I think about being a champion of change, it changed everything for me. But when I think about high school, when I think about my experience, there was one moment in particular that shifted everything. And it wasn't an award, it wasn't some leadership position, it wasn't a title. In fact, it was the time when I had to confess to my parents and the police what happened. And so it was September of my senior year, and I had just gotten my driver's license. And like many of you, I was super excited to be able to drive by myself. And so I ended up asking my mom for an entire week, Mom, can you please let me borrow your car while you're at work for the whole day? Because my mom was a nurse, and so I knew that she was at least going to be at work for 12 hours. And so that was 12 hours of fun that was waiting ahead of me. And so to my surprise, that Saturday, my mom actually said yes. And so I remember waking up super early to take my mother to work as she will begin her 12-hour shift. Now, as she's walking out of into the workplace, she's looking at me and she's like, Asley, just be safe, just be careful. Please, think before you react, just be careful. And I remember telling my mom, hey, Mom, you can trust me, I got this. I will come to pick you up 12 hours from now. And so my mom left, and as soon as she entered the front door, all I could do was put the windows down, put my music up, and was ready to have a super awesome day. And so I made it all the way till 2 p.m. when a light flashed on the dashboard. And it was my gas light, because the car had ran out of gas. And so like anybody, the least that I could do, because my mama let me hold the car, I should fill up her tank. And so I remember going to a gas station that was near my house. So I pulled up, and the gas station was next to a hotel, but there was a big red wall that was separating the gas station from the hotel. So anyway, I pulled up in my mom's white Jeep Grand Cherokee to try to find a pump on the left side. All the pumps were taken. And so I had to literally drive over to the right side carefully. I see the red wall, but I see 2 pumps that are available right there. And so as I'm driving to try to get to the pump, there's another car that's coming this way. And so as I swerve to the right, I swerved a little bit too much. And all I heard was, my mom's all-white car had just hit the red wall. And as soon as I heard that, I stopped the car, I got out the car, I looked at the car now that had red stripes, and I thought to myself, man, what am I gonna do about this? My mom is gonna kill me. What should I do? And so as I'm panicking, I'm thinking of all the things that could happen. I'm thinking about how my mom and dad would never let me drive again. I'm thinking about how I'm gonna have to pay up for the repairs. I'm thinking about how I'm so stupid. I just made a crazy mistake. I'm thinking about all these different things until a solution popped in my head. And there was a thought in my head that said, Asley, why don't you just go to Walmart? And I said, you know what? That's a great idea. And so I got back in the car and I drove about 10 minutes out to Walmart. And I thought to myself, why don't you go to Walmart and try to find a car in the parking lot that matches the damage, the red that was on my mom's car. And what you could do is you could pretend that you went to the store to buy something, and when you come out, you can get the security guard to tell them that somebody hit your car while you were shopping. And so, as planned, I did exactly the idea that I had in my mind. I drove about 10 minutes out to Walmart. I circled the parking lot about 6 and 7 times until I finally was able to park next to a red car that matched the red wall that was next to the gas station. And so to my plan, I went ahead, I walked into Walmart, I bought some Oreos to make the story seem more convincible. I left the store, I came back in the store, and I was looking for the security guard in the store. And I found him. And I said, hey, I was shopping here at Walmart and somebody just hit my mom's car while I was shopping. Can we please do something about it, because the damage is bad and I don't want my mom to get mad at me for something that I didn't do. And so the security guard's like, what? That just happened? Give me 5 minutes and I'll be right back to you. And so the security guard goes that way. He tells me to wait in the front of the store. And so for about the first minute, I'm pacing in front of the store. About the second minute, I'm pacing in front of the store. But by that third minute, I realized that something was wrong, because that security guard was taking a little too long to come back to me. And so by the fifth minute, I see the security guard walking all the way from the back of the store. And as he's getting closer to me, I could tell his face was fully red. Like he was angry. Like somebody had made him really mad. And so as he's walking up to me, my heart starts to beat really fast, because now I'm thinking maybe he knows something about the situation. And so the security guard looks at me and I look at him and he says, hey man, I pulled around to the back of our store to look at our security cameras that was on top of the store. And when I was looking at the camera, I saw your car pulling into Walmart and you circled the parking lot 7 times with the damage already on your mom's car. And so number one, the police is on their way. And number two, we got to figure out who you hit, because you are about to be in big trouble and we got to make sure we get to the bottom of this situation. And so at that point, my heart's beating fast, I'm bugging out, I really want to go, but the security guard's standing right there, and as I turn this way, the police is already right there to start questioning me. And so the police is like, hey man, who'd you hit? What happened? You're in big trouble. You're about to go to jail right now if you don't confess, if you don't tell us the truth as to what's going on. And then he tells me to call my mom. And I knew my mom was at work, serving people as a nurse, as a true champion of change. But anyway, she picked up the phone, and as I'm talking to her, I'm like, hey, Mom, I wrecked your car, but I lied about it. I'm at Walmart now. Can you please do something? Come help me. The policeman is saying he's about to take me to jail. Mom, I need your help. Can you please help me, please? And the whole time, on the other side of the line, all I heard was my mom saying, why? Why would you lie? Why, son? Why would you lie and not tell the truth? Why? And my mom's why still sometimes echoes in my head, because that story almost happened 15 years ago. And as I've gotten the time to reflect, I now have the words to be able to express why I lied. The first reason why I lied is because I felt embarrassed. And I felt scared. And I felt like if my parents really knew what happened, they would never, ever let me drive again, and I would just be stuck at the house forever. I also lied because I didn't want to disappoint my parents, and guess what? That lie ended up disappointing my parents even more. But the last reason why I lied is because I didn't want to face the consequences of my actions. I wanted to cover them up. And looking back at this situation and also doing some research, HOSA family, I realized that I'm not alone in this experience. Because research will show us that between 96 to 98% of teenagers lie to their parents on a regular basis. 61% have admitted to regularly lying to a teacher, to an advisor, to somebody who plays that type of role in their life. But do you want to know the real reason why I lied? It's because for freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, I had developed a habit of lying and covering things up, and I never got caught. And so sometimes it would be about my homework. Sometimes during the weekend, it would be about who I was with, what I was doing, and where I was. My parents and my friends would ask me all these things, and I would tell them lies, sometimes to fit in, sometimes just to belong. But I had developed a pattern of not telling the full truth because I didn't want to face the consequences. But HOSA family, I'm looking at over 2,000 of you in this room. And the reason why I share this story is because I know that sometime in your life, you're gonna make a mistake. You're gonna mess up. Or you probably have already messed up already. But the true champions of change are the ones that can confess the truth right then and there, are the ones that don't have to wait till they get caught, and they're the ones that can own up to their mistakes even if the future is gonna be more challenging. But at the end of the day, HOSA family, Jose and I believe in you. And we believe that you want to make that commitment to be a champion of change. And the least that we can do is not be part of the 96 to 98%, but we can be part of that 2% that actually tells the truth to their parents and to their guardians and to the people that look out for them the most. We can be part of that 39% who are truthful with their advisors. They are truthful with their teachers, and they are telling the truth no matter what's going to cost them. Because last time I checked, HOSA family, being a true champion of change is somebody that has a pure heart, but most importantly, somebody that has clean hands. And so as we're taking this time to motivate you, we also want to challenge you. Because one day you are going to be in front of a patient and you're going to get a chance to lie, but I hope that you tell the truth. One day you are going to be with some colleagues that they could tell you to lie, but hopefully you say, no, I'm going to tell the truth. And one day when you look at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day, you can know that every single day you gave it your all, you told the truth, and you led with integrity. Because that's what real champions of change do. But my friends, I share this because today isn't necessarily about me. Today isn't necessarily about Jose, but today is about you. And we still have a plane to catch. And so for you to get on our Power Up airplane as you get ready to take your next days here to the next level, there's a couple things that we require from you. Number one, that you continue to overcome adversity like my brother did. Regardless of what happened in his home life, he was able to make something out of nothing through faith and perseverance. Or you can be like me, and that you can confess even when it's hard, learn from your mistakes, and believe that you can be a leader that leads well, not only when people are watching, but when nobody's watching. And so, HOSA family, if you can do that and you're making a commitment, we have one more thing for you to do, and that's to stand up. So if you can make that commitment, I need you all to stand up for me. Because we know your leadership journey is gonna get tough at some point. But when your leadership journey gets tough, you have two options. Either you can power down, quit, give up, lie, or you can power up and tell the truth, overcome adversity, live on purpose, and lift others up along the way. So I don't know about you, but when I see the crowd, I'm looking at people who are going to power up. I'm looking at champions of change. And so on the count of three, when I say 1, 2, 3, you all are going to say power up in your best voice. 1, 2, 3. Come on. Life is going to get tough at some point, but I need you to hold on. So one more time for your family and your friends and all the people who believe in you. 1, 2, 3. Come on, one more time for all of the HOSA family, the people, the advisors, the people who invested in you to get here so far. 1, 2, 3. And lastly, to make that commitment to yourself now and your future self, and even to reflect back on your past self and power up. One more time, the best time, in your best voice. 1, 2, 3. South Carolina HOSA family, thank you for your time. Thank you.